All right, so it's kind of sunny out, but I wanted to do just a regular wash to this vehicle. I'll go through the steps that I use to do this. This is a 2016 Mercedes C450 AMG. This is not my personal car. This is a company car, but I do take care of it and keep it clean. I do have high expectations of cars being cleaned, so I'll go through the step-by-step process that I do. I always start with rims first. All right. So, I'm kind of working in the sun a little bit here, which is not ideal. So I'm not using junk. This is P&S Brake Buster. I think I have this diluted. I think it's 50-50 in here. It gives good foam. The IK foam 1.5 does a pretty good job, but it runs out of pressure pretty quick, which is kind of a pain in the butt. You got to keep pumping it. And then for tires, I use the Superclean straight up. It seems to do a good job if I use it straight up. So I'll get to this. I'll show you my process here. And stuff's pretty strong. Now, let's get my bucket. All right, I have not washed this car yet. So typically when I return my company car every 30 days, it comes back a heck of a lot cleaner than when I took it. I just like to drive a clean car. It's pride. And I guess the way to go would be to go with a bigger IK foamer, so you don't have to sit here and pump it all the time. God, look at how fast I dried the rims. Now you can keep pumping this and you'll hear it when it's done, because it'll release pressure when it's maxed out. There it is. So I know it's maxed out on pressure, and I'm actually going to do this one more time because they're pretty nasty. But it's like 7:30 at night here in Central Florida. Well, it's not. I guess it's not that bad. Usually when you get that white foam, that means that they're pretty clean. Down here, they're still pretty dirty. So this is a pretty cool car. I normally take pretty boring SUVs because I like to have an SUV, but this is a pretty cool car. It's a twin turbo V6. Even though it's a C450 AMG, it's the AMG package, so it doesn't have a true AMG motor as far as I know. I'm not an expert at these cars by all means, but I'm pretty sure that there's signs that an AMG would have a plaque on the motor, and there'd be a couple other things too. It might be, I'm not sure. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. So see, it lost its pressure in about 5 seconds. That's good enough for one wheel, it's not bad. I tend to like to get up in here too. Okay, easy detail, brush. This, I've tried so many. I got the woolly mammoth right here, and this is so far superior in my opinion. The cleaning power, this just doesn't seem to get the same cleaning power as this. I love this brush. So I've tried many of them. I got different ones at my parents' house that I used, and I still love this blue Easy Detail brush. I mean, look at how big that is, and it can still get behind those rotors. That's the game changer right there. I don't have to move the vehicle. But you can see how fast everything is drying on this car because of the sun. That's Central Florida for you. We're almost in August, so we're getting there. So, I don't know what brush this is. It says Mother's, okay. Let's give this a little bit more. I got a few of these, I like them. They're just soft enough to where they won't scratch anything. The only downside to them is they don't last long. They end up bowing out just from use. So that's a downside. They're not very reliable, but I like these brushes. Now, like I said, I've never washed this before, so I'm not sure how easy everything is to wash. These are really easy rims to wash. I mean, God, this is so easy. And then get in there and get the lug nuts. Dirt gets up in there. Now, I do own my own detailing business here in Central Florida. These are a lot of the same products I use. I do use a little bit more premium products for customers' cars. And I can see I missed quite a few spots on these wheels. You can see right here, there's still some brake dust. So, yeah, so I tend to use a lot more Car Pro stuff, Gion, McGuire's. Today I actually cleaned my 350Z, my personal car, and I've been struggling with the headlights since I've bought it. They keep slowly turning yellow, and I keep putting it off until it gets cooler around here to permanently fix them by clearing them, sanding them down and clearing them. It's just so miserable. It's hot. So I don't know, some people might think we're crazy spending that much time just on one tire and one rim. Let's get us over to the next rim here, which is direct sunlight, so this is gonna dry quick. Now these have the drilled rotors and Mercedes brake calipers, so I know it's not AMG. Now I do not have any wheels for the buckets. I don't know. To get 3 of them is going to cost like $100 for cheap ones, and I kind of see it as exercise, to be honest with you. So it's not. I try to get some exercise out of detailing as well. Might sound stupid. All right, so I'm in direct sunlight, so I'm gonna have to work quick here. So for you Mercedes enthusiasts, you guys can probably school me on this car. I know the basics of it. I know that an AMG, true AMG car will have AMG calipers on it. It'll also be a, it'll say like bi-turbo. This one's actually an all-wheel drive version as well. I think they all are for the C450s. Man, look how dirty those tires are. But I tell you what, I've had this car for about 3 days now, and when you put it in Sport Plus, it is a game changer. I mean, this car's got so much horsepower. Neighbor kids are looking at me like I'm crazy. They think I'm talking to myself. All right, so this brush will not reach behind that caliper. I'll see if my smaller one does. Otherwise, I'll have to move the car back and forth to get behind it. So, I mean, look how dirty that is. I gotta get this off the car. The other side will be so much simpler. I think the ideal time is probably like 8 o'clock to come out here and detail. I tend to spend about 2 hours, so 8 o'clock won't work for me. Halfway through, I'll be in the dark, and I won't be able to see what I'm doing. So yeah, so I'm using just basic chemicals. The P&S brake buster is really cheap and super effective. I mean, a gallon I think is less than 20 bucks. And you can dilute it in these IKs, and if you want to use it straight up without an IK, it works really well too. All right, so let's see if I can get back here. So I have a smaller one, and it fits for the most part. It's still tight, but it fits. Does not fit on the edges though. So if this was a customer car, you'd have to move the car. I mean, I'm gonna probably have a spot right in the middle, right on these edges, but I don't care enough. And the pressure washer I'm using is a Sun Joe. This is an aftermarket gun and hose. Okay, let's see. Did I miss some spots? I did. It's always these corners. I've been wanting to try Auto Fanatics wheel cleaner with these foam. I have his soap right now, and I have mixed emotions on the soap. I want to go through the entire bottle before I make judgment on it. But I'm curious to see what his wheel cleaner does, because that was one of his first products, and it seems to do a good job according to his videos. All right, so that tire and rim is probably gonna dry, but that's all right. All right, I gotta move everything over to the other side, which is gonna be in the shade. So I live in Central Florida, and I'm pretty close to the airport. Okay. Man, I want to see a rocket launch in person. I see them every time I follow SpaceX and go outside and always see them from Central Florida. But I don't get a chance to see them in person. And that's one of my bucket lists. I live so close. I live about an hour away. One of my bucket lists, man. I want to see one up close. I love audio. I just want to hear what one sounds like in person. There's a guy who had a video where he was there in Cape Canaveral and he did a 3D audio video of the Falcon Heavy going up, and man, I mean, it was so impressive to hear it. It takes your breath away, and I want to hear it in person. Florida has its pros and cons. There's a lot of cool stuff here. It's really hot. There's a lot of bugs, though. So back to this car, it's a twin turbo, and you don't get a whole lot of turbo when it's in comfort mode. That's what I'm normally driving it on, is comfort mode. When you step on it hard, the turbos will kick in, but for the most part, it's just straight up V6, which has plenty of power, to be honest with you. But man, when you put it into that Sport Plus, it's like the turbos are always on. Yeah, so look at the difference, and you can tell just from the heat that this doesn't evaporate as soon as it touches it. So this side I knew was going to be easier. But I guess that's the, you know, the German cars, man. They get, there's an airplane above me. The German cars, they give you just so much horsepower. And you know, great feeling in that suspension. You know, compared to an American model or Japanese, they just have that unique feel to them. But you know, they just cost so much money to own over the lifetime. I just don't think I'd ever buy one. Which brings you to the new Supra. You know, the Supra is technically Toyota, but that car is almost all BMW. So I wonder what its reliability is going to be like. And resale value, right? Because I mean, BMWs and Mercedes have terrible resale value. This car, I think MSRP was 60. And I think it's worth about 34 now, so it's lost about half its value in 3 years. And it'll probably at this point hold its value halfway decent as long as it doesn't have high mileage on it. Man, these rims are dirty. But what I like about this P&S Brake Buster is it's not an acidic wheel cleaner. It's actually pretty much like a soap. I don't know really how to describe it, but it's very, very easy on your wheels. I do have Meguiar's wheel brighteners, so you know that stuff that'll clean anything. So I guess I'll just clean these corners since lately I've been missing them. Last wheel. So man, you know, you put some wheel cleaner or wheel wax or a wheel coating on these, and they'd be super easy to take care of. This isn't bad at all. They're dirty. I have two personal cars. I have a daily driver, which is a Kia Optima. So I have a Kia Optima hybrid. That's as a daily driver, gets fantastic gas mileage, good reliability, terrible resale value, but I keep my cars for a long time. And then my fun weekend car is a 350Z, it's a 2006. Both of them are coated. The 350Z I had to do a major paint correction on. That was a 2-stage. That was about 20 hours of polishing total. And on that one, there is just one coat of Adams ceramic coating. I ended up getting that on a marketplace on Facebook for about half off, and I just held on to it, so I figured I'd use it finally on the Z, and I'm actually impressed with it. And then on the Kia, that was really basically a very light one-step. I barely had to polish that car. That was super easy. And then I have G-Technic Crystal Serum Light topped with G-Technic EXO. That's by far my favorite combo. And then, you know, after every wash, I do a topper with Bead Maker. And really who got me into that was Matt Mormon from Obsessed Garage. Because I've tried so many different coatings. Since I'm in the business, I try to explore, especially with my friends. If they want to pay me for a coating, I'll do it cheaper if I get to kind of explore different coatings. And man, G-Technic is just, every time I go back to it, that look that it gives you, and especially after EXO, man, it's just so, it looks like there's a wax on the car. You know, if anybody wants to hate on coatings, I mean, I understand the wax is just half the fun is waxing your prized possession, right? You know, you wax it once every couple months, and it's actually fun to do, but it just doesn't last long enough down here in Florida. I love waxing cars, but it seems like it's gone within 3 weeks to 4 weeks. Even when you use some sort of isopropic alcohol solution to make sure that you have a bare surface, it just doesn't last. Power Lock topped with Bead Maker seems to last a decent amount of time, and Power Lock is very easy to work with. That's pretty much my go-to for just regular details. When people just want to wax on their car, I use Power Lock and then I top it with Bead Maker. Because I don't think Power Lock will give you longevity, so if you put a topper on it, then it will. I think most of us are very fortunate to have YouTube. There's so many great YouTubers that have been doing this for 10 to 20 years, and they share their passion with everybody. And me, as a new detailer for maybe about 3 years, professionally, it's not been that long, but I feel like I'm good at what I do. I've learned so much off other people. Our water down here in Florida is pretty bad. You know, I'm sure it's going to dry real quick in the sun, so I want to try to get some soap on there as fast as I can, because it is pH neutral. So if it dries, it won't hurt anything. This being a black car, you can see the steam coming off of it when I hit it with water. So this hopefully is cooling down the surface, so when the soap hits it, it doesn't instantly flash. You can see these wheels are already dry. Very little bugs. I mean, there's not much dirt on the car, surprising. We've had some rain. Okay, so I do have an MTM foam cannon. This is my janky Amazon one that I've had forever, and my MTM died in about 6 months. I'm gonna have to take it apart. It popped. One day it just popped and I can't get it to get any foam. So just use the janky one. Now I don't get shaving cream foam like some of these other guys with the Kranzla pressure washers or gas powered pressure washers. But I do get foam. And I do get runny foam. It sticks. But my feeling is that if it's running a little bit, that it's actually pulling off some dirt, so it's actually running off the car. I mean, I would love to have a Kranzla. Someday I'll spend the money on it. Man, these headlights are beautiful. Oh man. So that's why you never pull the trigger at the car first. So I just pulled the trigger and this thing popped out. Always pull the trigger away from the car. Okay, so all you guys with your bucket trolleys, look at me, I'm carrying my buckets. I think it's a good exercise. I think it's less efficient though. So from doing a customer's car, having a bucket trolley will make you more efficient and less tired, I guess. We all know as you start to detail a car, you do degrade. You do degrade. I notice after about 2 hours, man, I start to get tired. So maybe your productivity is less. So I do a 2-bucket method. I actually put the soap in the wrong bucket, but that's all right. Gets the job done. So I really think it's been a while since this car has had a hand wash. There's a lot of swirls on this car from car washes. So I think this car has seen a lot of car washes. And thinking about it, I've actually never done a paint correction to a Mercedes. So I wonder if they're similar to BMW in that they have hard paint, which I actually tend to like hard paint better than soft paint. I'll take hard paint all day long. I have the tools for it. Soft paint, man, it'll just drive you crazy. Constantly have to blow out pads, make sure they're clean. Otherwise you're leaving swirls from polishing. At least hard paint, it's easy to finish. It's a little bit harder to cut, but it's easier to finish. So see, I don't keep picking up my buckets. So that's the inefficiency part, right? So guys who've owned their shops or have shops are probably like, dude, those buckets need to be following you. And I agree, but it just isn't gonna happen. A lot of times when I'm doing jobs I'm using O&R anyways. It's very rare that I do 2-bucket method like this. So I'm starting from the top, flipping at the bottom, rinse. The doors are always disgusting, right? Especially when you get towards the bottom. So go up to about that body line and then flip, and rinse. Now there's actually no bugs on this car up front, which is crazy. We had enough rain. I mean, no bugs. I really like the front end on this, and I don't see it trapping a lot of water. Great design. I'm sure, like the rest of you guys actually watching me clean a car, this is therapy for me. I don't think my wife quite gets that. They don't understand. Even my friends don't understand. They all hate, they just run their car through the car wash. $5. I just love coming out here and washing cars, man. It's even more fun when you're paint correcting. Put some music on and make something look better than it did when it was new. And then protect it. So that other side kind of dried a little bit, which is fine. It's pH neutral and there's no wax on this car. So you can see it's already dried. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly go over it again. Just a quick once over. Get the windshield, especially the windows, just give it just up to that body line. Just reactivate everything because I'm about to rinse it off. Such a cool looking car. I'm jealous of you guys who actually own them. I'm just curious how much these things cost, you know, when they're 6 years old and require some maintenance from Mercedes. I feel like it's going to be one of those services where they just tell you to leave a blank check and they'll fill it out for you. That always makes me nervous. Now this took a little bit of guts from me. I suffer from anxiety, and I don't take any medication. I try to work through it with workouts. So a little bit nervous on getting on a camera and actually speaking. Yeah, those tires look nice. Now, being a kind of new school is what I call a detailer, you know, some of you guys have been doing it for 20, 30 years. What I've been toying with are different masks and gloves. I'm curious what you guys use for protection. I was on an airplane going to Chicago a couple months ago. Actually, it was about a month ago. And I was sitting next to a gentleman who was wearing a mask, and his wife, we were just talking, his wife was telling me the story that he was actually a detailer for 40 years. And the reason he had to wear that mask is because he had 2 new lungs. So they were actually lung transplants. And they think it's from the detailing industry back then. All that stuff that he was breathing in caused him to get cancer, and he had all sorts of problems. So as rewarding as this industry is, I know there can be some problems with health. And Larry from Ammo, recently in his videos, he's been wearing masks. So I know he's starting to change his mindset on that. I still don't see too many guys wearing them, so I'm curious, you know, any of you detailers that do this professionally worry about that type of stuff. Now, on a coated car, I won't have to towel dry, but this car is not coated, so I'll have to use my Geon Silk dryer. Let's see, it might be still kind of wet, but it should work. This is actually the second car I've washed today. So let's see if this thing, yeah, it's drying just fine. This drying towel will change your life. And that window is actually rolled down a little bit. That's not good. But this drying towel, as long as you take care of it and you wash it in cold water with no crazy detergents, I use all free, and I use a setting on my washer. Here comes another airplane. This thing needs to be clayed. Whew. So I use a setting on my washer. I think it's like heavy duty is what it's called. And but I turn it to cold water. And then I dry on cold. Well, I dry it on delicates, that's what it's called. I tell you what, these chemical guys, some people hate on them, but these yellow towels, man, they work great and they're super cheap. So this is Griots Spray on Wax. It is Carnauba based. I don't think it does that great of a job. It gives it a little bit of a nice gloss to it, but it just likes to smear around. Now this is glass up here, so I'm sure it's gonna smear pretty bad up here, but I like to get it on everything. Man, that PNS bead maker, if you guys have never heard of it, or if you think it's just all hype, that stuff will change your life. So I'll pull up the camera here so you can see when I'm done with the top. You know, I haven't used this in a couple weeks, and I've been using a lot of other products like bead makers, so this stuff isn't terrible. I mean, just have to wipe it in more. I just don't think it lasts as long. Yeah, so it completely disappeared on the glass. Okay, so let's do a door. All right, so I have a dry side on the back that I use. So let's get the door. You know, use the wet side first just to kind of get it put into the door. And you'll see it's very smeary. It is Carnauba. So, but yeah, see, I guess, I mean, it's starting to flash pretty quickly. And when I hit it with the dry side, it disappears. You just don't get that slickness that you do from bead maker. It looks better though. That looks great. Looks really good. I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this when you guys see me do it, but I like really, really wet looking tires. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack. Everyone buffs their tire dressing off to give it a, just like kind of a matte looking finish, but maybe a satin. And I just love them wet. It just has that fresh detail look. We're all different, right? Yeah, my 350Z over there has got super wet looking tires. I'm proud of it. Now for customer cars, I use McGuire's Hyper Dressing diluted for tire dressing. Depending on the customer, they may want their interior plastics looking like it's waxed. So I'll use that in there as well. I prefer my cars to look factory, so just that nice plastic look to it, no sheen. But a lot of people think that that their plastic should have that Armor All look to it. So I'll use McGuire's Hyper Dressing on that. But I use it on the tire dressing. It works really good. It looks nice too. But I use Adams tire dressing. I've explored others. I have a whole bottle of Jay Leno. So Jay Leno has his own tire dressing. It's super watered down. Me personally, I don't like it. I've used it once and that was it, just once. The first rain knocked it off, it was gone. I know with Adams, his will last through a couple rainstorms. So I stick with Adams. I know a lot of you, whoops. I know a lot of you guys use Pearl, CarPro Pearl. Never tried it, want to. That's on the try list. I just order everything in bulk. You gotta take care of those birds. They got birds, cockatoos in the garage and they're not happy. See how it looks very smeary? But then as soon as you give it that second wipe, it flashes. So I guess that's my, if it's gonna be smeary like this, I'd rather it be smeary and last long. Bead maker smears just like this, but that stuff will last months. And it gives you super slick feeling. I think the best drying aid I've ever used, and I love it for personal cars, is Ammo Hydrate, the new formula where you don't have to have the car wet. You can just spray it on. Oh man, that stuff, that's amazing. But you can't use that professionally, it's just too expensive. So for personal cars, I love Hydrate. And I'm not sure if Hydrate is a UV protectant. So that's my thing down here in Florida, is like it has to be a good UV protectant because the sun's is so hot down here. So I don't know I don't know if I've ever done research if hydrate actually protects against UVs. If it doesn't, that sucks. But that stuff is just spray on and wipe off. I mean, it's just magic, but it's just expensive. That's good for a personal vehicle. So Larry, if you're listening to this, dude, you make awesome products, man. I also have your spray foam wash. I forget the name of it. It's in the, you have to pump the bottle. I have that black bottle. What the heck is the name of that stuff? And that stuff works good too. I just don't use it that often. Okay. So this vehicle is waxed. Now I really think that this wax will last maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks at most. It just gets too hot, especially black. So while I still have the 2 rags in my hand, I normally use McGuire's Express Spray Wax, but I'm out of it. I got this tip from Matt Mormon from Obsessed Garage. I've been using this a little bit. So it's Kinotech Showroom Shine. So I use this on the door jams. It's not something I usually use, but it does work. And it smells good. It has a very, very unique smell. Don't I have the key on me? No. Okay. Oh, that is #1 pet peeve. This is a 2016. It's only 3 years old. It has a key that you have to put in and turn. Come on. Come on, Mercedes. All right, so Kinotech, I don't think it adds any protection. Just a gloss enhancer, but it smells really, really good. I can't even explain the smell to it, but it smells good. Let's see how bad these are. Yeah, not bad.